It was a bright sunny morning, perfect for an adventure. Rocky, Sammy, and Ralphie, three 14-year-olds, were ready for their fishing trip. "This is gonna be epic, guys!" Rocky bounced with excitement, his blue eyes sparkling. Sammy, with his mop of hair, struggled to keep up. "Wait up, Rocky, I'm coming!" Ralphie, with his thick locks, led the way. Despite his stature, Ralphie was the leader. "All right, everyone got their gear?" They had planned this trip to a secret pond for weeks. The pond was rumored to be teeming with fish. Ralphie had even drawn a detailed map. "This map will get us there, no problem." Armed with their gear, they set off, laughter echoing. They reached the edge of the woods, the air thick with pine. Anticipation hung in the air. "Come on, let's go already." Rocky urged them forward, eager to cast his line. Sammy paused, scanning the trees. Ralphie consulted his map, confident. "This way, gentlemen. Adventure awaits." The boys plunged into the woods, their sneakers crunching on the fallen leaves. The sunlight painted strange patterns on the forest floor. Rocky took the lead, scanning the undergrowth. "Keep up, slowpokes!" Sammy struggled to keep up, imagining monstrous mosquitoes. Ralphie, vigilant, brought up the rear, eyes on the map. As they ventured deeper, the suburban sounds faded. "Just a little further, guys." Birdsong filled the air. Squirrels scampered through the trees. Rustling leaves hinted at unseen creatures, sending shivers down Sammy's spine. Rocky, oblivious, pointed out bugs and told tales. "And then I caught a fish this big." Ralphie called a halt. "Hold up, you guys. I think we might be off track." He unfolded the map, scanning the lines and symbols. "This doesn't look right. I'm sure we were supposed to turn left at that last fork." Rocky peered over Ralphie's shoulder. "Are you sure? We've been walking for ages." Sammy, ever the voice of doom, groaned. "I knew we should have stayed home. Now we're going to be lost forever, eaten alive by rabid squirrels and giant mosquitoes." Ralphie, ignoring Sammy's theatrics, tried to orient himself, using the position of the sun as a guide. The trees, however, were so dense that the sunlight barely penetrated the canopy, casting the forest floor in perpetual shadow. "It's no use. We're officially lost." For a moment, a heavy silence descended upon the group, broken only by the chirping of crickets and the distant hammering of a woodpecker. Rocky, his usual optimism shaken, slumped against a tree trunk, his face a mask of dejection. Sammy, unable to contain his anxiety any longer, began to pace back and forth, his hands wringing. Just when the situation seemed hopeless, a strange sound reached their ears, a sound like a cross between a cough and a giggle. "Did you hear that?" Rocky, suddenly energized, straightened up, his ears straining to locate the source of the sound. "What? It's probably just a squirrel." Ralphie, his curiosity piqued, crept cautiously towards a clump of bushes, his hand hovering over the pocket knife he always carried with him. As he peered through the leaves, he couldn't believe his eyes. There, perched precariously on a mushroom, was the strangest creature he had ever seen. It was about the size of a basketball, round and lumpy like a pineapple, with bright green skin covered in what looked like spikes, but felt surprisingly soft, like moss. Two googly eyes, each larger than a golf ball, blinked at Ralphie from the mushroom, and a wide, toothy grin stretched across its face, revealing rows of tiny, sharp teeth. Before Ralphie could even utter a sound, the creature hopped off the mushroom and landed with a soft thud on the forest floor.
Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to the most extraordinary, the most fantastical, the most utterly bewildering forest in the entire cosmos.
Rocky and Sammy, drawn by Ralphie's gasp of surprise, cautiously approached the strange creature. Rocky, ever the bold one, stepped forward, extending a hand towards the alien. Hi there, we didn't realize this forest was, intergalactic." The creature, seemingly unfazed by Rocky's outstretched hand, ignored it completely, and proceeded to launch into a whirlwind introduction, peppered with words like quantum and nebula that left the boys even more confused than before.
My name is Zog, and I am, by a stroke of cosmic coincidence, your designated tour guide for this most auspicious of days.
Sammy, his eyes narrowed in suspicion, stepped forward. "Tour guide? We didn't ask for a tour guide. We're kind of lost, actually. We're trying to find our way to..." He trailed off, realizing that revealing the location of their secret fishing spot to a random alien might not be the wisest course of action.
Lost, you say? Oh, what a stroke of luck. For there's no better way to experience the wonders of this forest than by getting utterly, hopelessly, magnificently lost. Come along, Earthlings. Adventure awaits.
Zog, oblivious to Sammy's apprehension, clapped his tiny hands together, his googly eyes widening in excitement. Before the boys could protest, Zog grabbed Rocky's hand, completely ignoring the fact that Rocky had been trying to withdraw it for the past 5 minutes, and began dragging him down a narrow, overgrown path. Well, here we go again. Ralphie and Sammy exchanged a look, a mixture of amusement and trepidation in their eyes. It was clear that Zog, despite his good intentions, had a rather unorthodox approach to tour guiding. They had no choice but to follow, their curiosity piqued by the prospect of what other strange and wonderful creatures might lie hidden within the depths of this intergalactic forest. As they trailed behind Zog, the forest seemed to come alive around them. Trees rustled and swayed, their branches reaching out as if to greet them. Strange, exotic birds flitted through the undergrowth, their feathers a riot of color. The air hummed with an unseen energy, a palpable sense of magic and wonder.
You see, Earthlings, this is no ordinary forest. This is a place where dimensions converge, where the laws of physics take a holiday, where the very fabric of reality is but a suggestion, a mere whisper in the cosmic wind.
Wow, this is amazing. If this is also amazing, how come we haven't seen any fish yet?
Ah yes, you seek fish, do you? Well, my young friend, you've come to the right place, for this forest is teeming with fish. But not just any fish, mind you. These are fish of extraordinary intellect, fish of unparalleled wit, fish of puns.
Fish of puns? What does that even mean? Before Zog could elaborate, a strange sound reached their ears, a sound like a cross between a gurgle and a chuckle. It seemed to be coming from a nearby clearing.
This way, Earthlings. Prepare to have your minds boggled and your funny bones tickled.
He led the boys through a tangle of bushes and into the clearing. In the center of the clearing lay a small pond, its surface shimmering with an ethereal glow. But it wasn't the pond itself that caught the boys' attention. It was what was swimming in it. Fish. Dozens of them. But these weren't ordinary fish. These fish were, well, they were telling jokes. Bad jokes. Really bad jokes. Puns, to be precise. One particularly rotund fish, its scales shimmering with every color of the rainbow, leaped from the water, its mouth opening and closing as if gasping for air.
Hey guys, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
The other fish fell silent, their laughter dying down as they eagerly awaited the punchline. The colorful fish paused for a beat, then shouted, "Shh!" The other fish erupted in a cacophony of laughter, their bodies shaking with mirth. Bubbles rose to the surface of the pond, each one seeming to contain a tiny, echoing chuckle. Rocky, unable to contain himself, burst out laughing, his loud guffaw echoing through the clearing. Seriously? Fish that tell puns? This is ridiculous. Ralphie, ever the observer, watched the scene unfold with a bemused expression on his face. He had to admit it was pretty strange, even for an intergalactic forest. But there was something about the sheer absurdity of it all that he found strangely endearing. He chuckled softly to himself, shaking his head at the ridiculousness of it all.
See, Earthlings, I told you this forest was full of surprises. These fish are renowned throughout the cosmos for their comedic timing.
Another fish leaped from the water, sporting a seaweed mustache.
Why don't they play poker in the ocean?
The other fish went silent, their anticipation palpable.
Too many sharks.
The fish bellowed with laughter. The other fish roared with laughter. Even Sammy couldn't help but smile. He had to give them credit. They were pretty good at this whole pun thing. As the boys continued their journey, they encountered a sight that gave even the ever-optimistic Rocky pause. Look at that! Towering above them stood the largest oak tree they had ever seen. Its trunk was as thick as a house, its bark covered in moss and lichen. But it was the face that had stopped them in their tracks. For carved into the very bark of the tree, its features twisted into a permanent grimace, was a face. A human-like face, complete with a bushy mustache and a pair of beady eyes that seemed to follow their every move. Before any of the boys could utter a word, the tree spoke, its voice deep and booming, shaking the very ground beneath their feet.
Well, 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 what do we have here? A trio of lost little lambs wandering through my forest.
Who are you? Sammy, his eyes wide with alarm, instinctively took a step back.
They call me the Grumpy Oak, and for good reason, I might add. These youngsters these days, they have no respect for nature, no respect at all.
The Grumpy Oak continued to lecture the boys for a good 5 minutes, berating them for their lack of environmental awareness and their general disregard for the delicate balance of nature. Just when it seemed like the tree would never stop talking, a high-pitched bark interrupted him.
Excuse me, Grumpy, but I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. These fine young lads seem to be in a bit of a predicament.
The boys turned to see a small, fluffy white poodle bounding towards them, a pink bow perched jauntily atop its head. Trailing behind it, its iridescent wings beating furiously, was a smaller, equally fluffy poodle that seemed to be floating in midair.
You know, you could always try dancing. I hear Kermit has a soft spot for a good jig. So how exactly are we supposed to tickle a frog that big? Despite their misgivings, the boys followed Foo-Foo and Beej deeper into the forest. Soon, they emerged into a clearing, and the source of the sound revealed itself. Before them lay a shimmering pond, its surface as smooth as glass, reflecting the vibrant hues of the twilight sky. And in the center of that pond, its massive green bulk almost taking up the entire surface area, sat Kermit. Indeed, but be warned, young lads, Kermit is not easily amused. Oh, for heaven's sake, Foo-Foo, stop being so dramatic. It's not like Kermit's going to eat them if they don't make him laugh. He's just a big softy at heart, really. Honestly, Beej, must you always undermine my attempts at instilling a healthy sense of caution in these impressionable youths? So, let me get this straight. To reach our fishing spot, we have to tickle a giant frog? Kermit, my dear boy, is a giant, green, and utterly terrifying frog. Oh, he's not that terrifying. He's just really, really ticklish. Kermit, who's Kermit? Allow me to introduce myself. I am Foo-Foo, purveyor of wisdom, connoisseur of fine treats, and most importantly, the most intelligent being in this entire forest. Don't mind him. He's a bit of a drama queen. My name's Beej, and we're here to help. Indeed we are. But be warned, young lads. The path to your destination is fraught with peril. To reach the fabled fishing spot you seek, you must first pass the test of Kermit.
The boys exchanged uneasy glances. So, let me get this straight. To reach our fishing spot, we have to tickle a giant frog?
Indeed. But be warned, young lads. Kermit is not easily amused. Oh, for heaven's sake, Foo-Foo, stop being so dramatic. It's not like Kermit's going to eat them if they don't make him laugh. He's just a big softy at heart, really. Honestly, Beej, must you always undermine my attempts at instilling a healthy sense of caution in these impressionable youths?
Despite their misgivings, the boys followed Foo-Foo and Beej deeper into the forest. Kermit's eyes were closed, his massive chest rising and falling with each gentle snore. The boys stared at the slumbering amphibian, a mixture of apprehension and amusement on their faces. So how exactly are we supposed to tickle a frog that big? Maybe we could try throwing those at his feet. I hear frogs are ticklish on their feet. No way! That's just mean. Besides, what if we wake him up and he's not in the mood for games?
You know, you could always try dancing. I hear Kermit has a soft spot for a good jig.
With a shared shrug of resignation, the boys decided to give it a try. Rocky, never one to shy away from a challenge, volunteered to go first. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and began to move. At first, his movements were awkward and hesitant, his limbs flailing about like a newborn giraffe trying to find its feet. But as he got into it, his body began to loosen up, and soon he was twirling and gyrating with surprising grace and agility. Sammy, emboldened by Rocky's unexpected display of rhythm, joined in, his initial self-consciousness giving way to pure, unadulterated silliness. Even Ralphie, who had sworn he wouldn't be caught dead dancing in front of a giant frog, couldn't resist the infectious energy, and soon he too was shaking his groove thing. As the boys danced, their laughter echoing through the clearing, something magical began to happen. The boys stopped dancing and stared in awe as Kermit's laughter echoed around them.
Well done, lads. Well done indeed. You have passed the test.
Kermit opened his eyes, his gaze sweeping over the boys, his massive frame still trembling with mirth. And with that, he winked, a mischievous glint in his eye, and with a flick of his massive webbed foot, he parted the waters of the pond, revealing a shimmering portal of swirling colors.
Go now. The fishing spot you seek awaits.
The boys, their hearts pounding with excitement, wasted no time in following Kermit's instructions. They plunged into the portal, the swirling colors enveloping them, and emerged into a realm unlike anything they had ever seen before. Look at that fish! It's enormous! The boys stood on the shores of a lake that shimmered like 1,000 rainbows. This is incredible. It's like something out of a dream. A dream where everything's edible. This is amazing, but we need a plan. We can't stay here forever. We have to find a way back home. As if on cue, the giant fish Rocky had hooked let out a deafening roar that echoed across the alien landscape. Whoa, Rocky, are you okay? Way to go, Rocky. You just scared away our dinner. It's not my fault. That fish came out of nowhere, and it roared at me. That wasn't a roar, Rocky. It sounded more like... Suddenly, the surface of the lake erupted in a geyser of shimmering water. The giant fish, its scales flashing in the sunlight, leaped from the lake, its massive jaws agape. It was even bigger than they had first thought, its body longer than their fishing boat. I think it wants to play a game. Maybe it's a game fish? The giant fish, as if understanding Sammy's words, nodded its massive head, sending a spray of water arcing through the air. It opened its mouth wide, letting out a series of high-pitched chirps and whistles that sounded suspiciously like laughter. Before any of the boys could react, the giant fish began to dance. It swayed back and forth, its massive tail fins slapping against the surface of the lake, sending waves crashing against the shore. It spun in circles, its body a blur of shimmering scales, and then to the boys' utter astonishment, it began to sing. Put your right fin in, put your right fin out, put your right fin in, and shake it all about. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the freshly mowed lawns of their quiet suburban neighborhood, the three friends made their way back to Rocky's house. You guys, did you see the size of that fish? I'm telling you, it was bigger than Mrs. Henderson's Winnebago. And those teeth, I swear, one of those teeth was bigger than my head. Sammy, his mouth full of pepperoni pizza, nodded vigorously in agreement. I thought for sure we were goners when that thing came flying out of the water. Well, it's almost dinner time. Anyone up for pizza? Ralphie, leaning back against the couch, a knowing smile playing on his lips, shook his head at his friend's antics. You guys are such drama queens. It was just a fish. A big, singing, dancing fish, but still just a fish. Besides, it's not like we haven't encountered weirder things before. Rocky and Sammy exchanged glances, their eyes widening in unison as they recalled some of their previous adventures. Next time, we're going to need a bigger map. The boys huddled together, their heads bent over the map, their fingers tracing the lines and symbols that represented the unknown, the unexplored, the impossible.